All right, guys. Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to Lotto Friday. Very excited to do the stream again this morning. Really good end to the week, or end to Thursday. Yesterday. This morning, I'm going to be focused on a few things, guys. Number one I want to talk about is going to be QQQ. QQQ broke a major support level yesterday. If we look even at the daily, right, 336 was a major level, and if we come out to the hourly, it's a pretty big area that we needed to hold, and we didn't. So today what I'm going to be looking for is, do we retest 337 or that 336 area? That's that big support that we need to regain. If we do not regain 336, then I think we do see 331 rather quickly. We did touch 332 in pre-market. But again, what I'm going to be watching off open, and I think what will determine our direction for the day, is going to be that level on QQQ. If we can get above 336, I think we have a pretty good shot of seeing some type of relief rally. But I will say that the Fed outlook was very bearish yesterday, pricing in 50-point basis hike in May and then 75 in June and July, which would bring the real Fed funds rate up pretty high. So this morning, again, going to be focused on that 336.2 break on QQQ. If we break above that, maybe we see a little bit of a relief rally. However, if we reject 336, I think we see a bigger unwind in a lot of names, especially like NVIDIA, Mara, etc. So number one name that I'm going to have on my watch list today is going to be Mara. This will be my focus for the 10K challenge. As you can see, we are breaking support here on the on the daily. That daily support was sitting right at 1955. So we did break that daily support. Now, one thing to mention is we do have weekly support here we have weekly support on Mara at 1832. We had a big wick down there back in May of 2021. That's when we saw that initial growth correction. Mara actually somehow in November ran up and made new highs up to this 83 level. However, since obviously we've come all the way back down, and guys, I think this is one of those names where the valuation is going to get corrected eventually. And we can tell by looking at past price action, the last time it broke down below that level, we saw a big move to the downside, right? So guys, I am going to be watching the 17 puts under 1832. If you were just strictly looking at daily support, guys, then we did crack the daily support yesterday and closed under. So today looks pretty good for a move down to 1830, in my opinion. I would look for a break of pre-market low, which was 1881. If I'm not mistaken, 1881 is our pre-market low here on Mara. So that is what we want to focus on. Do we break below that pre-market low of 1881? If so, then okay, let's go ahead and shift our focus towards the weekly puts under this level. I think that would probably I would look at the 18 put under it. And then for next week puts, what I'm going to be looking at for the 10K challenge, and something that you might be able to actually take some size on, right, would be the 17 or 16 puts for next week in Mara. So I'm definitely going to be looking at those. That'll be one of my top watches if we do see a rejection on QQQ and see further downside. But again, not going to trade until 25 minutes after open. For me, that's just about patience, right? Do I like SoFi today? I don't like SoFi necessarily today. I just like it long term, and I already had a pretty solid amount of shares, so I'm adding to my position there. I had a 14 average, and now I think now my average is 12 something. Trying to get that down to 7 or 8. Because the trader in me is I want to have a good cost basis, even though I'm holding that for 20 years. All right, guys. Other names that I do want to focus on. If we do see relative strength today, a couple names to keep an eye on would be Tesla. Do we see a bounce at this 996 level? Maybe. Bigger focus would probably be AAL and the airlines. If we see market strength, this is where you will see relative strength at, right? Because these airlines had good earnings. Again, I am definitely have a little bit more of the short bias today, but just based upon the chart. But it's 60-40 for me. I always try to keep it relatively even keel. You never know what can happen. A lot of these charts bottomed at previous supports, or closed over. So on AAL, though, this is one of the names that obviously held up better. held that $20 level. If we can get over 20.80, I love the 21 calls here. Weekly, these are really inexpensive, cheap premiums. So I love the setup there on AAL. NVIDIA is the next one I'm going to talk about. Short side focus, under 200, guys. I think you're going to see one of those like really big moves down under 200, like where it's so quick it'll be hard to catch. But if we see a breakdown and then retest of 200, guys, that would be the area that I would look to short. I already have the 180 puts overnight, so I'm going to be watching those for possibly some continuation to the downside. Other names that I do like today, again, NVIDIA. If we were to break over 204.50 would be that mark that I would look at, guys. That's the line in the sand. Over 204.50, I do like the 205 calls. But again, I think we're more looking towards a break of 200 here. And this could be something quick off open that might be harder to catch. And I'm not going to chase any type of wild parabolic moves to the downside. I'll wait for that A+ opportunity. You know, it might take a minute, but I'll wait for it. Now, the other names that I'm going to be looking at, nothing too crazy, guys. I do have Tesla on watch again, like I mentioned, if we see relative strength. Facebook is the last name that I want to talk about for Lotto Friday. Guys, this has daily support at that 184 level. Yesterday, we did crack under that briefly into the close. If we look at the daily chart, that 185, 184 level was pretty strong area of support, right? The 185 spot. If we bounce there, I wouldn't be surprised to see a relief rally today off of 185, right? If we hold yesterday's low and we bounce, I wouldn't be surprised to see a bigger relief rally here. Facebook is now very, very inexpensive. It's trading, I think, 5 times earnings right now. That is really inexpensive for a company like Facebook. I understand that valuations are being adjusted with rising interest rates, but risk to reward, this is probably my favorite long side setup. If we do see that relief rally off of lows and you want to be prepared for that, this is a name I would focus on, right? So I think that has a pretty decent shot. Also, I will mention on Facebook before I go, this is one of my favorite setups for like IV run up into next week's earnings. They report next week. Puts already gassed. So I would probably look at calls. I would look at maybe the 220 strike. Maybe you could look at the 200s. I think that you could still see a really nice IV run up on this. This was trading at 240 almost a week and a half ago. So you never know. Pretty good risk reward there if you ask me. Apple BAC, again, like I said with the rest of the market, Apple is red pre-market. It needs to break down below 165, 166. If we see a breakdown under 166, those 160 puts could still get a bump to the upside. BAC, banks look weak this morning. The XLF looks like it has pretty good room down. These are super small lottos. I have a few contracts on each. We took 100% on BAC yesterday. I'm going to hold these and see how they act. I think BAC could test this support here at 38.04. If not, our low of 37.22, at which point those puts would look pretty nice. So, yep, Diz had that tax, like their special tax status revoked too. So it's on watch, but Disney felt relatively strong to me when I was feeling out the tape the other day. So for me, I'd maybe stay away short side. I'll see how it feels today, but felt stronger than most names. I'll say that. Yep. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and hop on voice right now, and I'll see you guys on the pre-market Discord voice and then on live trading today. Hope you guys have an amazing day. Let's have an awesome Lotto Friday. Let's end this week strong. Peace out, guys. I'll see you on the voice.